As soon as Dustin and Dahlia reached one of the wards of Ansdale South Hospital, they were greeted by the ghastly sight of Florence moaning in pain, her body wrapped in blood-stained bandages. "How do you feel, Mom?" Dahlia asked worriedly as she walked into the room. "You're finally here, Dahlia." Florence immediately burst into tears and wailed. "I'm so sorry. I made a mistake, and I don't deserve to live anymore." She slammed her head into the wall several times, tearing up from the pain. "What are you doing, Mom?" Dahlia quickly pulled her mother in for a hug to stop her from hurting herself. "Can't we talk this out? Why are you trying to commit suicide?" "I'm too embarrassed to tell you." Florence thumped her chest sadly. "James, what in the world happened?" Dahlia looked at her brother, who was standing next to their mother. "Mom got scammed. Our savings are all gone now," he cried. "Scammed? Elaborate further." Dahlia frowned. "Do you remember Julie's boyfriend, Terrence Stone? He's that manager at the Brooks Corporation." "Of course, I do. Why?" Dahlia nodded. "He lied to us," James accused. "We were having dinner with Aunt Victoria last night when he suddenly came up to us and told us that the Brooks Corporation had a new real estate project and asked if we would be interested in investing. He claimed that the prices would be low since we'd get a special price because he knew an insider. We thought he was being kind, so we agreed. He promised that our investment would double in return after half a year, and the more we invested, the greater our return. We were blinded by greed and signed the contract stupidly, putting all our money in. Then, guess what? When we visited the development site this morning, we realized that the so-called new real estate project was nothing but a cluster of abandoned building. It's been left alone for years, and now we're in charge of taking care of this mess. Now, besides wasting all our savings, we've also collected huge debt." James seethed, regretting their decision last night. They shouldn't have gotten greedy and fallen into Terrence's trap. "Where's Terrence now?" Dahlia interrogated. "I don't know." James shook his head. "He hasn't been picking up his phone since morning. When we went to ask his company, they said he had been fired and was nowhere to be found. When didn't you tell me about this right away?" Dahlia was displeased with this issue. One shouldn't aim too high when they don't possess the necessary skills. Those individuals were the easiest to scam and swindle money out of. We didn't know he was a scammer, so we got careless and... James sighed. They had complete faith in Terrence because he was a manager at Brooks Corporation. They never expected that he had been fired a long time ago. "How did Mom get all beaten up?" Dahlia asked. "She couldn't find Terrence, so she went to find the developer instead, demanding they refund us, but they refused, saying that we had already signed the contract, so Mom kicked up a fuss and got into a brawl with someone," James explained. "What?" Dahlia frowned. "How much did you lose in total this time?" James merely held out a finger. 10 million. Dahlia took a deep breath and tried to suppress her anger. "It's quite a lot, but at least we can still pay it back. Treat it as the price of a lesson learned." "You've got it wrong, sis. It's not just $10 million, it's $100 million. James mumbled weakly. $100 million? Dahlia paled. "Are you serious? Where did you get so much money in the first place?" "We had a few million in savings. Then, we used our 2 villas to take out loans. Mom stole the remaining tens of thousands from you." James shrank back and confessed softly. "What?" Dahlia's blood boiled. "Are you guys crazy? Taking loans and stealing? Who said you could do that? Who in their right mind would sell their house to invest in a business? What a fool. It's all my fault, Dahlia. I'm so sorry. I should die instead." Florence moaned and began banging her head on the wall again, acting so well that she deserved an Oscar. "Enough," Dahlia yelled. "Rather than commit suicide, why don't you think of a way to take care of this mess? You're the president of Cardinal Group now. $100 million shouldn't be a lot to you, right?" Florence asked tentatively. "Yeah, right." Dahlia humphed, irritated. "I borrowed $10 billion and merely bought a portion of the company's shares. It's not time for dividends yet, so I don't have any spare cash. Besides, I have a $1 billion loan to pay back, so I'll be in debt for the next 3 years. What? Is it that serious?" Florence was shocked. She thought Dahlia was living a glorious life after being promoted to president and didn't know that her daughter was struggling so badly. Aunt Florence. Just then, Julie and her mother, Victoria, walked into the room. Julie, you're here. How did it go? Did you manage to find Terence? Florence sprung up expectantly. Things were still salvageable if they could catch Terence. We couldn't get a hold of him at all. I'm sure he ran away. Julie sighed. Who knew that he was a swindler? Curse our rotten luck. Victoria spat. Julie, Terence is your boyfriend. How do you propose we solve this issue? James demanded. What does it have to do with me? I'm not the one who lied to you. Julie frowned. Besides, we're victims too. We lost a lot of money as well. Who knows if you guys are working together? James retorted. Hey, what do you mean by that? Julie sprung up and demanded. Enough. We're a family. It's not the time to fight right now. We should be working together to get past this storm. Florence placated. Dahlia, you're the smartest here. What should we do now? Admit defeat, I guess. Whatever else. Dahlia grumbled. I have an idea. Suddenly thinking of an idea, Julie whispered. Since Terence lied to us, we can do the same to someone else. As long as we find another scapegoat, everything will be fine. That's a good idea. My daughter is so smart. Victoria's eyes immediately lit up. Julie was right. Rather than suffering themselves, why don't they make someone else suffer? They should just act in their own interests. That is a good idea, but where will we find the scapegoat? James rubbed his chin thoughtfully. A scapegoat. Florence thought about it for a second, and her eyes shot to Dustin. Wasn't there a perfect one right there?